Welcome back, baseball fans. 1971-74 card set analysis. This is our final look in the 1974 card box. These, of course, this is all of the cards plus what have been pulled out, of course, are the nameless cards, which is just players I drafted into the league to distribute throughout. Just wrote, handmade cards here with no plan of using these. This is just so that I could draft and move the 576 with the nameless cards to get up to 640. You could say I imported the Strat-O-Matic cards with these, and I pulled these out to get to the pure gold. Yeah, okay. Let you enjoy that. And then, of course, there are guys on waivers, but this is the fourth year. So if a guy was put on waivers in 1970, there's a couple guys there. And retired guys who come out of retirement, and a couple guys there. But otherwise, you're going to have to rely on your keepers and your rookies. And that's what we're going to look at. We're in the Mountain Time Zone division, the 4 expansion teams. Then I'll take a little break and we'll do the West. So we're going to start with the Arizona Diamondbacks. Always fun to look at these fictional teams. Semi-fictional. They exist, but not back in this timeline. Their 4 keepers are Ed Herman, Dalton Jones, Merv Retman, Chris Short. One thing we know is that Retman's 71 will be used. Here's Ed Herman. Now this is a nice Herman card. It's all right there against righties. So that's pretty good. I like that Ed Herman card. And then you have Retman. This we're not going to use this one. And that's it. Just the 2 guys to consider. So possibly Herman, and then you need another guy from this year, so hopefully they have at least one rookie. Bob Hansen, a first baseman, and he does a decent job. Yes, he hits, gosh, it should be a 300 hitter, right? 290? 295 hitter. Well, he's good enough to be a split DH against right-handed pitching, if nothing else, because that's a nice hitting card. No double plays either. Always valuable. And his brother, John Knox. Almost the same thing, but now you got a middle infielder doing that. 295, I guess, again? 307, well, maybe not. But yeah, 2 immediate 300 hitters. You could use these 2 rookies if they fit. Bill Plummer. Actually, this is a good card for him as a catcher versus lefties. Normally he's on Cincinnati with Johnny Bench, but he was redrafted because, of course, the Reds don't need him. Dick Sharon, good defensive outfielder. He's okay against righties because of those walks. The walks help otherwise dismal card. Probably 229 with all these walks makes him a 260 something, 217. Jim Tyrone, a one-way player in a platoon over here on the left side. And with a high percentage, I bet his stats are terrible. I bet he's like 204 or something. 185, yeah. Because it's all the damage is done there. But here, that's workable. Tom Griffin is a decent starter 6. Larry Hardy, not really. Bad against lefties. A very young Steve Stone hasn't quite figured it out yet. He goes from the Giants to the Cubs. The stop with the White Sox along the way. Hey, this is a very nice Jeff Zahn, though. Starter 6. Very good pitcher. ERA around 2. 2.03 ERA for a left-handed starter 6. That's got to get in the league, whether it's year 1 or definitely for an expansion team. You better protect that guy. If not in the first year, get him in the second year, but you don't want to lose out unless you have too many left-handed pitchers, which is very doubtful. Colorado's up next. They're looking to keep Jack Hyatt, Rick Monday, Don Money, Carl Morton. There's going to be a great rookie in this card as well, or an improved player, I should say. Rick Monday, brilliant 74. Outstanding. Yep, that's worth it. 1. Here's another one. Don Money. This is the dilemma, though. You're going to see another guy pop up here shortly. So you already got 2 guys you like a lot. Carl Morton's very good as a third choice. So your 3 keepers are all outstanding. Now you can only keep 2 in any given year. Besides looking at rookies, which we will, Jim Fuller, kind of all or nothing power. Perfect Colorado Rocky, by the way. Art Howe, Good utility player, gets on base a lot. Nice Art Hal card. Jim Mason. Wow, this is a very good Jim Mason card, believe it or not. Didn't have a great career, but this split's very good for him. 250 in a almost full season. A lefty reliever, Bill Laxton, but he probably puts too many guys on base. Though lefties this bad, you could say, have often been in the league because of a shortage of lefties, of course. Area of 4. But I want to point out that there's a carry-on guy here that they can improve. And it would be this gentleman, Rick Auerbach. So you currently have him on your team. He's a 220 hitter. If you just decide to not add a player but improve a player, you do it this time, you get a 342 hitting middle infielder who was a 220 hitting middle infielder. That's a big deal. Plus it's dominant over here and winnable over there. It's a full-time card. No defense, or the defense is terrible. Even Joe LaHoo's got a nice card. So, I mean, Colorado's going to make some decisions. Obviously, Rick Monday and Don Money make the most sense, but the chance to get Auerbach, 100 points better is something you should take advantage of. We got Las Vegas next. Lost wages. Wes Parker, acquired in a trade. Ed Brinkman, acquired in a trade. Ray Culp and Aurelio Rodriguez. Plenty of defense. Brinkman, 72, gets MVP votes. But look at this power that just suddenly emerged. It's better here than he did with 14 homers than he did in the year they got MVP votes, but he's a 1, or here's a 2. A-Rod's a 2 as well. We'd like to get these guys as 1s if you can. And that's it, because Wes Parker's done by this point, so maybe they'll find a rookie. How about Juan Beniquez? A nice player here. Will eventually be a 1 in the outfield. He's an ace stealer already. Hits lefties really good. Good. This could be a good everyday player. What's percentages? 265. 267, close. Kerpavakwa, very ordinary here. Barry Foote, hey, very good year for him. He did it with the Expos. How about that? Look at that, nice year for a catcher here. 262 with 11 homers and 420 at-bats. Forgot all about Barry Foote being good with the Expos. Not sure what they do at catcher. We're not quite at Gary Carter territory yet. They also have John Bateman catching for the Expos. All right, Jim Wolford. Wow, nice hitting outfitter. Brewer or Royal? I can't remember. Royal. 271 in a full season. No power. Yeah, that's fine, but really, you want a little bit more bang for your buck in the corner outfield spot. So you got batting average, base stealing ability and running, but defense is poor and no extra base hits. Not crazy about that. If that was a middle infielder, I would have loved it, but not an outfielder. Dennis Blair. Yeah, dominate over here. Dennis Blair. As a starter, 7. And Montague as a reliever. Hey, very good relief pitcher. Walks lefties, but most righties are worse against lefties anyway. It's not that big a deal. He's an okay guy. He's fine. He could get into the league if there's a spot open. Nice, 3.14 ERA. So Vegas has some spots. They got some options. Want to see that out of these expansion teams. We don't want these expansion teams to be awful. Awful is not good. It's not competitive and it's boring when you got to play, the Cincinnati Reds or whatever, and you get swept 3 straight. Who cares? You might as well not even play those games. So I make sure that these expansion teams actually have some talent. Bernie Carwo is now going by Bernardo, or he did in 1974. Must have been a mustache phase for him. He can still hit over here. Never hit lefties very well. Has the great throwing arm. Lost a little bit of his speed. That's a nice year. It's okay. Jim Perry. Now, Jim Perry is, he does it with the Indians in 1974. Look out there. And that's a pitching on 3 days rest alongside his brother Gaylord Perry. So, let's look at some rookies. Mike Anderson. Nice defensive outfielder. Look at that. A 1 with a -3 arm in right field. He'll hit lefties right away. Against righties, he's getting started. 58%. I'm going to say, here we go again. Let's say 263. 251. Yeah, too many walks, not enough hits for the batting average I suggested. Pat Bork. Tons of walks. Just probably not enough of anything. It's the beginning of a nice on-base percentage and power, but it just doesn't sizzle. Kind of poops out there at 225. Jim Cox, just a second baseman. Well, if you're just one infield position, that's not good. You like multiple positions unless you're going to be a designated starter. And he's just, yeah. Larry Cox with a +2 arm behind the plate. So he's a rare blend of sloth and weakness here is Larry. Yeah, 170. Nothing and nothing. Okay, great Gross. How about a full season in the outfield for a guy who made his bread and butter later in his career as a pinch hitter? Look at that, a full season hitting .314 for the Houstros in 74. Probably the most at-bats he'd ever get in a season. And he had no home runs. 21 doubles is nothing to sneeze at. Tons of walks. 76 walks and 39 Ks. So you're going to be a B-hitting runner. Great contact hitter. If you are willing to forfeit home runs and playing in a spacious Astrodome, he most likely did, there's a job for you. Bobby Mitchell. Power version of a guy we saw earlier who hit 251. So I'm going to guess this time 252. 243. I'm getting close. Dave Hamilton, a lefty. Now my starter fives, I'd like to make him relievers. So he'd be a lefty guy who gets lefties out. So he'll get in the league. I don't even care what happens over here. This is all I'm interested in. Yeah, he's getting lit up. Oh, he's getting banged around a little bit. Not too bad. The percentages are actually 24%, so relatively high for that. I'm going to say 369. 315. 315. So you really have to cash in that left side, that ERA that low, because he puts a lot of guys on base over there. Milt Wilcox. A righty gets righties out, but I don't like my righties being this vulnerable against lefties. I'm willing to live with this, but I'm not willing to live with it the other way, because this happens too much. Yeah, so you get this guy in the game, and then the team will immediately go to a lefty off the bench or something if there's not already in the lineup. All right, that's the Portland team, so we'll take a little break, and we'll get into the National League West. All right, we begin with Houston. Out west, Dave Duncan, Dennis Menke, Joe Morgan, Jim Wynn. Joe Morgan will be on Cincinnati by this year, so we're not going to take this year regardless. Duncan's still hitting home runs. His batting average is a little bit better in 72, but 16 homers. He's in double digits most of the years here. Ah, yes. Joe Morgan's magnificent 74. And yeah, the Reds will get this card most likely in a year, next year, not right now. As Houston is being piggy about Morgan, they're going to take his 71 card when he's still an Astro. That's as part of my trying to keep the best parts of Major League Baseball history intact and keep Houston Joe Morgan over there and Cincinnati Joe Morgan over there. The Toy Cannon, Jim Wynn, is he on the now he's on the Dodgers. So I think I would do the same thing. I would decline and try and keep, or Houston should at least be forecasting what they're going to do when they lose those two guys. So maybe it's because there's some nice rookies here, and we don't care about losing those guys. Bob Gallagher is not that answer. He's got good defense in right field. He can throw, but can't hit. Wilbur Howard has a little bit of, no, he doesn't have speed. He can run the bases, catch the ball a little bit, can't hit either. Very young Cliff Johnson can hit home runs and walk. And that's actually a very high on base against righties, those walks. Percentage is 47 against lefties, though, so I'm going to guess a low batting average. I'm going to try and go under this time. I'm going to say 219. That should be above. 228. See, I said I was going to go below, and I did. We got a lefty reliever, always to be analyzed. Mike Cosgrove, a 4 lefty reliever, even better. So, serviceable. This is what I call the doesn't suck lefty. You don't suck, so you'll probably get in the league with this 3.50 ERA. What's the innings pitched? Oh, it's actually a lot. So I'm looking at this card and thinking this ERA is above 3.50. And sometimes when you have a opportunistic ERA, it's because your innings are low, but that's not. 90 innings is full for a relief pitcher. So let me just look at this again and see why I guessed so high. You know what? I'm sorry there, Mr. Cosgrove. No home runs and an out on 8. in 70%. So that should lower your ERA right there. And just a few extra base hits. This is a very good card, actually. So my apologies, Mr. Cosgrove. You're beyond don't suck. You're actually pretty good. Joe Niekro. He's in the bullpen. He's still trying to figure that knuckleball out. But this is a good start for him. On his way was a Brave. Just 43 innings, 3.56 ERA. But he could find a job. Junior Richard is not quite ready yet. ERA of 4.15 and 73 was an ERA of 4. Hasn't quite figured out how to master the fastball yet. So, well, not sure what Houston's going to do in 74. Actually, that Cosgrove card is draftable. And I don't know. Maybe we'll look at the Dodgers and see if they really do want Jim Wynn. Maybe they could just make a trade now. Or maybe the Dodgers don't even need Jim Wynn. I don't even know. Let's go find out. Here they are. They're next. The Dodgers. Tom Haller, Andy Messersmith, Pete Mickelson, Claude Osteen. Messersmith. Of course, another great year, and he can pitch with 3 days rest. Magnificent. Perfect card. There you go. That's a keeper. Claude Osteen. Now, he's a Cardinal here. Interesting. And he has better years with the Dodgers, so we don't want this one either. So Messersmith is a possibility. Do they have a rookie? Oh boy, do they ever. Well, first of all, one guy they could think of doing, which is beyond thinking, it's making, and it would be, you already have Steve Garvey hitting 227 as a 4 at third base. If you want, you can make it the most valuable player of the National League. Sounds pretty reasonable to me. So Garvey will be probably their first round pick as an improved player. But when you're looking at filling out the roster and getting these Dodgers going, you got Ron Cey waiting to get started here. Been in the minor leagues too long. You got Davey Lopes in the minor leagues waiting to get in here. Been in there too long. How about this Steve Yeager card? A little blurry there. Steve Yeager, -3 arm catcher. There we go. And he can hit like crazy. I'm going to say 289, 266. I guess the percentages are kind of high over there without the hits. Okay. Charlie Huff, not so much, just okay. 375. Randy Moffett, he is also in a similar vein. Okay, 450. Doug Rowell's a lefty, starter 6, who pitched 198 innings, misses pitching on 3 days rest as a left-hander. But if they decide to trade Osteen, you could put Rowell in Osteen's spot. You also have Buckner, Willie Crawford in the outfield. If they have one more outfielder, they wouldn't necessarily need Jim Wynn from the Astros, and the Astros could hold on to him. Or at least make the Dodgers pay a lot for him is the strategy. Overpay. The Padres. Ollie Brown. Chris Cannizzaro, Cito Gaston, and Ed Spezio, plus a bunch of great rookies. Ollie Brown could hit some home runs and hit about 232. Cannizzaro's card, he actually was not printed a card by Strat-O-Matic, though he did accumulate some stats. He had 60 at-bats, 267, but of course, we don't take these cards. It's a placeholder. Clarence Gaston, great year in 70, bad year in 71, better in 72 and 73, and he's back down in 74 to 213. So that was clearly unimpressive. But have no fear, folks. This Padre team is loaded, chock full of young players. Beginning with, and not limited to, Johnny Grubb. And yeah, he's a 1 in left field. And he can play third base for 5 minutes if you want him to. And yeah, boom. That's a 288 hitter. 286, close. Getting better. Dave Hilton, just an infielder, and he's not that much. Fred Kendall is the heir apparent catcher after Cannizzaro. He's got a better year in 73, I believe. But I do like his power over here. Rich Morales, not real much there. He's a kind of a utility player who never really gets the stick going, ever. And here we go. We got Dave Winfield. We talked about his bad defense in 73, and it's still not there. The arm develops. He's throwing now. but still doesn't have the range you want yet. But the stick, he's crushing left-handed pitching to start, and he's doing decent against righties. The batting average by 74 is up to 265 with 20 home runs. So 73 and 74, he is sitting right there about to get into the big leagues. Of course, he would be in traditional Major League Baseball. In the more competitive carryover league, he may have to wait. Hey, Dave Freisleibman, and he's good. Good for him. That's a nice card there. And he pitches on 3 days rest. I think he's my favorite rookie of what we've seen. Because he can pitch on 3 days rest, ignore the one loss record, it's the Padres. That's a nice card for him. Good news. He also has the 4-4 template, which represents the top pitcher on that team in the year of 74. Bill Grief has the 6th template, the 6th best ERA on that team. He was on that team, yeah. 4.66. It's Sprague's an extra player because he probably didn't have enough innings. He actually was on a different team, Milwaukee, but also was probably an extra player. Dave Tomlin, that's a decent lefty reliever. 434, maybe not. Well, you know, Johnny Grubb looks pretty good, of course, and, you know, I mean, yeah, get Dave Freisleibman in the league. You got Randy Jones, go lefty-righty, and maybe you get rid of Clay Kirby. You don't need him anymore. Send him to the Cincinnati Reds. All right, the Giants, and we will be done looking at the 74 box. Dick Dietz, Willie McCovey, Sam McDowell, Don McMahon. Willie McCovey can still do it, folks. Now, who's he doing it for? He did it with the Padres to the tune of 22 homers. He left, came back. This is where he's with San Diego, but we kept him on the Giants the whole time. Just made sense that way. Good to know that he's still doing great things in 74. Sam McDowell, unfortunately, did not get a Strat-O-Matic card as he only had 48 innings. And that's it for the keepers. But they always have young guys coming up. In this case, it's McKelleher at short. Not much stick, and he's a 3 at short, though. But here's your guy, Gary Maddox. He didn't get in the league with his 73 card. Better get in with one of the 2 cards. His average dropped a little bit. He was 373. 284 and 74. Full seasons, over 500 plate appearances in both years. Gary Maddox is getting into the damn league. He should have been in the league last year. And the Giants clearly hid him and protected him and kept him away from other teams taking him away. But they don't have that luxury this year. If they don't take him in the first 4 rounds of the draft, that 73 card of Gary Maddox will be stolen by a team, say, like the Philadelphia Phillies. So, Bruce Miller, utility infielder with a nice bat, hits lefties very well. Okay against righties, 277, 278. Close. Steven Averis, third base switch hitter, always had nice on-base percentage, not much power, and he's okay. He looks like this in 1979, and here we are in 1974. So. What a unique Dave Rader card. My goodness, what is he doing against left-handed pitching? He is hitting 400, my goodness. It's ridiculous. You know, it's funny, but in 1980, Dave Rader makes the Strat-O-Matic roster sheet addendum, and it says, don't use Dave Rader too much. You might make the Red Sox too good. Well, that's pretty silly, this card. 80% over here. It's going to distort the average a little bit. I'm going to say, though, it's 296 because of the high percentage over there. 291. You know, a lot of times Strat-O-Matic won't even do stuff like this when he hits like 400 against lefties, and they just move some of these hits over here. But my goodness, it's worth getting this card into the league just to see how much damage it can do. I don't recall a left-handed batter having these many hits on a card before as a lefty against a lefty. I'm trying to think of George Brett's 1980 card against a righty. Brett had an out over here, and this was a walk. He's got a hit in 4 as well. Might be worth looking at baseballreference.com and see what did Dave Rader do against left-handed pitching in 1974, just for fun. Ken Rudolph. an okay catcher without power, though. We like our catchers that they can't throw, hit with power. Do one or the other. If this was a -2 arm catcher, wouldn't mind the lack of power. If you don't have power, hit and run, bunt, do something like that to help your team. Gary Thomason, never ever really put a serious season together. He was always close a lot of times in the 300 at bat territory. Mike Caldwell, hey, here we got somebody here. We got a nice starting pitcher. 2.95 ERA, just misses the rotation by 11 innings there. 14-5, excellent year for Mike Caldwell. Giants. Hey, you got Sam McDowell. If you want to move on from Sam McDowell, slide this dude in there and trade McDowell in the draft. John D'Acquisto. He's a starter, later becomes a reliever. Pete Rose told him that, you're tipping your pitches. And he fixed him. So good for him. Pitches on 3 days rest here. 3.77 ERA. Not bad. Not bad for a righty. You could see why they'd want him to be a reliever, because he's so good against righties and he puts those lefties on too much for a starter. Same with Haliki. Too many guys get on for a starter. Both guys as relievers I'd like. Haliki has a good 78, I believe. Leads the league in ERA or WHIP, one of those categories. And we got a couple more pitchers. Sosa, plenty of pitching for the Giants, which is, of course, they always had a great bullpen in this decade as well. And Sosa's very good here. And Charlie Williams as well, relief starter. He's also very good. Good against righties with a 2.79 ERA. So there's a lot of options. None of them are no-brainers, but you have a lot of options for the Giants. And this will conclude the 1974 box. We've looked at all 4 years. We've looked at keepers and some rookies. So now it's time to pause this analysis. We won't do card set analysis anymore, and we'll move on to the Fall League videos are coming out. Fall League Championships coming up soon. And then after that, a little Winter Baseball Classic tournament, and then of course the draft. The draft will be in March, end of March. It's usually around St. Patrick's Day, and I usually have it uploaded by April Fool's Day, and then we'll have opening days after that. So 71, 74 seasons should be a great bit of fun. Thanks for checking it out, folks. We'll see you then.